Now today's video for you is how to apply watercolour over the top of a pen drawing, used with a waterproof pen by the way. So I'll come in with the drawing just about completed, then I can make a start on showing you how to apply those colours over the top. So let's get the brushes wet and let's get started. Now the pens which I'm using today for the pen and wash technique are both size 01. One is made by Pilot and the other one is made by, get ready for this, Sakura Pigment Micro. I do find that with both pens, the nib, even though they're supposed to be the same size, do vary a little bit, but it depends on the ink within the pens as well. And also make sure for the pen and wash technique that the pens that you use are waterproof as well. I do have a video on how to work with these pens as well. You'll see that pop up on the screen now. I think that's nearly about it, I'm trying to put some darker areas here and there, just to vary the way it looks. But you can see I've been trying to keep it nice and pale around these areas here on the top of the head, and also parts of the chest as well. And then increasing the depth of tone, in other words, increasing the amount of ink I'm going to put on the paper around those darker areas. But bear in mind that if you do draw this one, remember we've got the darker areas on the right hand side, lighter towards the top, or this area here, but it gradually gets lighter, doesn't it? So you want to ease off that pen pressure. Once the pen is nice and dry, and it sort of dries out in about 10 minutes or so, is to erase all the pencil on the paper. And for that I'm going to be using the Faber-Castell eraser, something like that one will do. And that one doesn't seem to damage the paper, so it's well worth shopping around for a decent eraser when you're working with pen and wash, okay? Or anything in question, even just working with watercolours, which I do quite a lot, as you probably know. Right, time to add some colours on there. What I want to do is add a bit of a yellow tint to the beak. Let's grab a bit of yellow. I want to really water that down as well. And add in just a touch, only a touch, of ultramarine blue, or French ultramarine, whichever way you want to call it. And there's different ones out there, isn't there? Don't want it too green, want it more yellow than green. If you're not sure how it looks, get some scrap watercolour paper. Get that off there. Give that a quick test. Probably a little bit too green. Put more yellow in there. And I want this very, very watery. Something like that should do it. That's all we need. Let's apply this probably around here. Oh, by the way, I'm using a size 4 brush. I thought I'd go for quite a large brush for me today because the simple fact is we've already done the detail work, haven't we? That's all done. So what I want to do now is just add the colours over the top. And we don't want to spend too long doing that either. Bit around there, bit around here, then lightly soften that down so it's lighter just there. Like. I can also see a hint of blue in there as well, but more of a grey blue, and just a touch, a tiny amount of blue just towards here, just to kind of change that colour slightly, and that is about it for the beak. We can see with the head, there's a lot of colours there, isn't there? We've got the greens, we've got the sort of purpley colours in there, the violety colours. I've already made some colours up. A couple of greens and some purple, and also a little bit of brown for the chest as well. So what I'm going to do is apply the lightest colour first of all. Let's go for this green here. It's a very bright green, that one, isn't it? I'll start off around here. A little bit there. And also down here as well. I might drop a touch of that yellow in there as well, the yellow we just used for the beak, just to change it slightly. Wash that brush out, grab some yellow, just on camera now, and drop some of that in there. Okay, clean brush again, and lightly soften the edges of this down now, very lightly. You want it to be really, really bright in there, but take your time and get it right. Work on the layers bit by bit. Don't go too bright too soon, because if we do, if we make any errors along the way, then they're harder to fix than it would be if they're very, very pale on there. So not too bright to begin with. And then we can dampen the rest of the head now with some clean water, using just a damp brush. Don't soak it through. Very lightly, touching the paper like that. That's all I'm doing. Grab some of our deeper green, and we can add some of that in there, just to change it one more time. Thinking about the colours all the time. It doesn't have to be the same as that reference photograph, but as long as it's similar, that's all that really matters. Also want a small amount of blue, so I'm going to go for a little bit of cerulean blue. And I might pop that in that one there. A little bit of that in there, not much. Put it back, you know what I've got there now. And drop that in around here. Just down the side there. Just by touching the paper like that. I'm going to go for a little bit of purple. Sort of a violety colour really. Start to add that in. We can change it as we go along. We can move that paint around on that paper. Bring that down here as well. So we've got some colour over that pen work. Okay, bring it around there. Mix it in with the other colours while you're doing this. Touch more of that cerulean blue just around here. And for the first wash on the head, that's about it. That's all we need really. Meanwhile, we've also got the eye to paint in, haven't we? But I can't paint the eye up until this is all nice and dry. Otherwise, this will then bleed into the eye. And we don't want that to happen either, do we? Working on the chest. And I'm going to dampen this down first of all. Staying with the size 4 brush. Now remember, if you need to know the colours I'm using, they are available on my Patreon channel. Okay, let's go for some of that. And drop it onto that damp paper. I know, really damp. Then start working down the chest, allowing this paler patch down there as well. And we can always lift paint off as well, so remember that. So it's going to go over the top of that, just with a light colour of that at the moment. Then another layer over the top. Now we've got some pale patches there as well, so we need to allow for those. So skip areas here and there, and you find because the paper is nice and damp, one area will blend into the other. I'm going to drop in a small amount of black in there as well, sort of a bluey black really, just around here, and blend that into that colour. Just so it's darker in one area there. Whilst that paper's still damp, get a damp clean brush and take most of that water off like so. And then lift some of the paint off in places. Just a small amount here and there. Especially on this marking along the chest here, isn't there? It's quite light in places. Not so much on these little markings around there. We can then increase, on the damp paper, a little bit more colour in places as well. Looking at these curvatures, looking at the folds that we can see within these feathers here. Just drop some colour over the top. And for now that will do for the chest. And we can go over that again once it's nice and dry. We do know that watercolour very often dries out a little bit lighter, doesn't it? So now we can go back to the head and increase those colours on there as well. Then we'll finally put a little bit of colour in the eye, not much though. When working on the wing, I'm going to use the same brown colour, that sort of terracotta-y red-brown we got there a lot. And what we can do is add a little bit of colour in there first of all, then soften it back. We'll work on one section at a time, so there's one area here. Get that rinsed out. Take most of the water off the brush again. Add a bit of water above it, just like that, so it's just dampening that paper. Then tickle this into that damp area. This will then give you more of a sort of graduated colour. So around there, again one more time, dampen above, and just bring it down like that. So it graduates all the way through to the top there. And that is one section already painted in. As quick as that, I know. That's the beauty about working with pen and wash, is that it doesn't take long to add the colours over the top. But you should know what I always say, is that you should never ever rush your painting anyway. Because if you do rush your painting, then you might miss things, you know. Take your time with it, there's no rush. Just enjoy the process. Then keep working your way along the wing. Doing the same thing, of course. And you may need to add a second layer over the top as well. There's too much colour there, so I'm going to take some of that colour off. Then a little bit down there as well. Once again, soften it back. Okay, grab a small amount of purple and drop that into this wing here. Just a touch of it. And don't forget this section down here as well. Just working with your brown colour as you do so. So we've got the purple feathers here. Just be careful not to touch this area here, especially if it's still wet. Otherwise it will blend into that. We don't want that to happen really. So a little bit of our kind of violety colour. Drop that in. Look at that. Oh, what a lovely colour that is. I know. As for the tail feathers, to me they look sort of like a black blue colour. So I'm going to go to our dark colour here. And all I need to do with that, grab some of that. Just go over the top of that area very lightly. Don't completely fill it in just yet. Just go around the inside edge for now. And we'll blend that out shortly. A damp clean brush and then very lightly soften that back. Move it along the paper here. Control it. You're in control. And then same on these areas here. Touch our dark colour. Just into there. The penwork is our darkest colour. Of course it is. So because of that we don't need to go too dark. Not overly dark. Let's grab some of our dark colour and pop it into that one. And I want to really water that down. So it's quite grey really. So I'm looking for something probably lighter than that. A bit more water. Just using my pipette. Look at that. Look how light that is. That'll do. So first thing to do is wet the body. Okay, just wet it down. Very lightly though, not completely soak it through. Very lightly wet it and just avoid touching any areas which might still be wet as well, like the purple there, or the black. It's quite bright on there anyway, so we don't need a great deal of colour on the back of the bird. Just in places, that's all we're after really. Small areas. So lightly dampen it, once should be enough. If you're liking this video so far, please click on that subscribe button and that like button down below. That in turn will help YouTube show more of my content to people just like yourself and hopefully promote my channel a little bit more. So please do me a favour by clicking on those buttons down below. Thank you. Avoiding that leg, that lovely orange colour we've got to put on there in a bit. I know. And grab some of that colour and drop it in. But only where it's needed. I'm going to put a little bit down here first of all. I might darken that a little bit more there. Let's grab some of our dark colour again. Drop a little bit of that in there as well. This lighter version which I've made up will be ideal for the lighter areas up higher up. But this is the darkest area down here, isn't it? One thing you've got to bear in mind as well, this area here has got a reflection of orange from those feet. So we have to bear that in mind when we start to work down that way. And then I'm going to go for some orange. Ta-da! A little bit of orange, just in the bottom here, not much. Base is reflective light. So all it is. It's kind of reflecting from the surface underneath, which is obviously from the legs and feet. Just a touch of reflective light. Soften it down so it's not too much. And that's nearly it for the chest already. I know, that's so quick. Okay, whilst that's drying, let's pop a small amount of colour in that eye. I've got some browny colour there. What I want to do, add a small amount. Should really use a smaller brush for this, to be honest with you. Just on the lower half of the eye. Just a small amount like that. Maybe to the right hand side as well. And that just leaves a small highlight there, doesn't it? As for the legs, again, this is still wet. You really want to dry this first. I'm going to go for it regardless. Go for your orange colour and start to fill that area in. So lovely bright orange is what you need for this. I'm keeping it pale to begin with, because once it's dry I can go over the top of that one more time. It's more of a richer version, more of a creamier version of this colour. Very light to soften it. A touch more now over the top of that. It was looking a little bit odd and I realised there's an extra section just there. I mean, these legs are not that bright, are they? Not really. Surprisingly enough, they're not. I'm going to drop in a little bit of our black colour just on screen, around here, just to dull part of that area down. Especially on this side of the foot here as well. It's quite dull there, isn't it? Like a dull orange. And this colour should be enough just to kind of knock it back a touch more. And the same just about there. Okay, do the same thing on the other leg now. Bear in mind that leg's slightly darker because of that shadow created from the body. Okay, let's add a bit of colour down below now. I'm going to go for some really bright colours in places, but also some dull colours. Let's go for a sort of greeny yellow to begin with, I think. Go for the yellow. Yeah, do that one. And add that to some of the green stems we've got in there. Now, this isn't the same as that reference photograph, I know, but it's similar. That's all that matters. It doesn't have to be the same either. It's all about having fun with those pens and getting some colour on that paper as well. And also you find with that reference photograph here, there's water, which I decided not to paint. And also this big sort of corner of a basket there as well, probably from a pond plant or something like that. So drop some colours on the paper. A little bit of green here and there. Nice and bright. Then change that colour, just give it a wipe. Go for a richer green in places. Just add a touch of that in, just to vary the colours on that paper. That's all we're doing here. We don't want the foreground looking too boring, do we? Not really. Just by tapping and stippling as I'm doing this. And then I'm going to go for these two. Let's go for our brownie one. Add that in places again. So it's not all the same. Don't make it too even. That's the key with something like this. And leave plenty of light areas in between as well. And then we're going to go for our black colour. It's that kind of bluey black we got there. Then very lightly add this in between. Again, try not to fill in all those white areas. Leave a few here and there showing through. It's all about playing with those paints, isn't it? That's what you can do with them. And that is one very colourful foreground, isn't it? It really is. But it's fine, it's exactly what we want. It really is. Something like that is fine, because it works quite well. A few little grass blades sticking out the back, here and there. Then you have yourself a finished pen and wash painting. There you go. That's the way that I would work with something like this. But you have to remember that when you're working with pen and wash, make sure that the pen is waterproof. Okay? It's got to be waterproof. If not, then it will simply blur as you add those colours over the top. Obviously with something like this you can get really detailed if you want to when you're applying the colours over the top. But the technique I'm showing you today is how to apply the colours loosely over the top of, well, pen work, very detailed pen work as well. What you can do, just out of interest, you can get your waterproof pen, once it's dry, try and make sure my hand doesn't go in there, then add some details over the top of that dry watercolour work, okay? So you can increase the detail again over the top of that if you wanted to. Right, something like that. You can barely see it, I know, but it's definitely going on the paper. Just to give us some ideas of what you can achieve with something like this. Now pen and wash is really interesting to work with, and I've got another video for you on how to do that as well. Okay, so have a look at that link to the top right hand corner of the screen. Hopefully I'll see you there.